And welcome to Off the Cuff with Des and Zane. I am Zane Thomas.
And I am Carissa Des, and this is our special guest over here, Jonny Cool, also a.k.a. Jupiter Black.
Jupiter Black.
Peace, y'all.
Hey, thank you for being the second coolest hair on this podcast. I appreciate you.
Hey, you have the perfect afro.
So I'm first, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I was obviously third in this chain of events. Thank you so much for joining us. We talked to you a little bit at the Star Awards, and we're glad to have you back on.
Yeah, thank you. It was cool to talk to y'all and meet y'all in person. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd been following you on Instagram for a while because I just like your music is cool. You have a really cool vibe, and your style is amazing. Other than a musician, are you also like a model, or is that just something that you kind of do for fun?
Or do you just look good in all clothes?
Yeah.
You know what? That happens inadvertently. I think it's like one of those like chain of reaction kind of things, because like one person would take a picture of me and they go, "Hey, I see that you model. You want to take some pictures?" And a lot of times I want to say no, but then I'm just like, I do need, I guess, pictures. And my mom said I was handsome, so
hey, my mom said I was funny, and here I am. No, that's super dope. So like as far as what you do for the people who are just now getting introduced to you, what can they expect to if they tune into some of your music?
Well, you can expect, not to say that you need expectation, but
okay.
I love to make people feel, and I go for feeling more than thoughts.
Yes.
Because like I love the feeling of nostalgia. I love the energy of different genres and blending them. So I can't say I'm a hip hop artist or a blues or a jazz artist, and the most you can do is not even say what kind of artist I am, and just be like, hey man, I wonder what he's gonna do next, and who he's feeding,
I like that.
And who's gonna eat this kind of music food. Because I'm just cooking, and
whatever you're feeling in that moment.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, I think go ahead.
And so who influenced you in your music career?
I have
Most when you were first starting, I guess.
When I was very first starting, I'm gonna be honest, it was Q-Tip and Kanye West. And because Q-Tip had my voice, like I don't have his voice, but like I'm like a nasally kind of speaker at sometimes, and he had so much jazz in his music, and I didn't understand jazz at that time either. I just liked it, and I liked Kanye West because he was very confident about all the artists he worked with. He's like, I'm going to get this, and I got it. And following him since his like mixtapes in high school, before he was really famous, was like, oh man, I seen this guy just hearing his low quality mixtapes, and then now he's with Rockefeller, and now he's like doing this. And so that was inspiring to see, for sure, because it made me feel like, oh, I'm sure I can do that too. And it wasn't so much of all his music, but more of his like his goals and reaching goals. I saw that was cool.
I think that it's always cool when you can see like an artist start from like a lower spot and move up, because it's like it gives you that, because I'm sure that like you've been somebody who's moved up and progressed and grown as an artist, but I mean seeing other people close to you being like, oh man, we were just chilling at this party and now he's on this thing, like that's crazy, like that could be me. That's got to be incredibly inspiring.
It is. And like the first time I got I just remember coming home one time, and this is back when you had like answer machines. So I had a message on my phone that it was from my old manager. He's like, you need to have music ready because there's a Kanye West project you need to be working on, and it's and you need music by Friday. We need like at least 14 tracks. So I was like, and the artist Rashid Jamal.
I don't.
He's from Portland. He's real cool. I mean, he's not from Portland, but he's real cool, man. He's one of my brothers, and he was with me, and we was like, whoa, like.
What did you do on the track? You mixed some.
Well, I actually just submitted a bunch of beats. Like I was just like, I'm thinking like, this is Kanye West, so he's wanting soul samples. And
a little bit of everything.
So the first batch of music I sent, and I was with another producer at the time. In a duo called Two Kids from Pluto. And so we kind of got together, and we were just like, I sent 14 tracks, and I think he sent about 14. And the first batch, he was like, I don't like these because they're like, they sound too much like my new projects. They sound too much like Late Registration and Graduation. and he's like, I want dusty loops, old soul loops, and he's like, think like, you know, of that, just my first project. You think College Dropout, and that's where I lived. I was like loop master. So even the producer I was working with was like, he's like, that's you, man. Like you get the loops, and he's a great piano player. So he's like, I'll do whatever I can. You know, let's just do it. So we submitted more music, and unfortunately, we didn't land a placement. But
just to have that opportunity had to have been like just really you know, like to sit and listen to somebody and then have that person like, yo, give me some beats. It's like, what?
And the crazy part, I mean, I didn't even say crazy, but the cool part was that all the music we submitted still floated around that group of people. So like,
so they actually heard it at least, which is really
and his
awesome.
pals heard it. And so like, I remember like I sung a song and it was very John Legend-esque, and John Legend heard it and he liked it, and he's like, he flew me and the producer out to New York. So we ended up working with him about 3 weeks in New York with his producers, and that was like my first like. I remember telling like my aunts like, I'm going to New York to work with John Legend. And it was like, right.
That's not a sentence that everyone gets to say.
That's mind blowing.
little old me, and I had this old Dell laptop. It was already 8 years old.
Was it super heavy?
It was heavy.
Yeah, I had that same one.
It needed a kickstand because I needed to lean it up against anything to hold it open. And I remember taking it to the studio out there in New York, and like everybody had MacBooks and whatever, and one guy was like, "You made that music on that?" And I was just like, "Oh man, I felt like Al Bundy." I was like, "Bro," I'm like, "This is all I got," you know. Like, I'm like, man, you know. But when it came down to project time, because they're just like, we got an order from John, and he wants like Lauryn Hill drums and Stevie Wonder chords, and he wants this stuff, and he also wants samples. And so I'm like, oh, that's me. That's why I live. Hey, like none of y'all in here could do what I do.
Yeah. And that's got to be like a really cool thing as like an artist, knowing that like, you know what, like I may not be able to do what they do. I may not be able to do what they do, but I can do what I do, and nobody can do what I do.
And it was my time to actually learn that, like, to just be quiet about certain things I don't know how to do and listen and learn. And so I really got so much from these guys, and I think they got some from me, at least as far as like, hey, he just was a role player. He just came in and gave us the loops that we needed. And everybody else did what they had to do to it. And I just felt good about it. And I just remember like days later, still in New York City, we haven't heard back because we were supposed to meet with Kanye West's people the whole time. We're just like waiting for that moment. We're like, I guess it's not going to happen, you know? And got a phone call from our manager at the time. He's just like, hey, meet me back at the hotel, grab your iPods, because I was iPod.
Really date this.
I remember that.
Grab your iPods, grab your iPods, and meet me at the hotel and lobby, and I'll be there. And so he picks us up, and I don't know if you guys know this man named Don C. Don C is he's a designer.
Okay.
But I always thought he was like an artist. Like I knew designing is art.
Sure.
But I thought he was a music artist because he's always with Kanye West. He dresses really cool.
Yeah.
And to me, he dressed way better than, at the time than Kanye West. I was like,
maybe Kanye got his style from him.
Cop
and
I
always thought like, man, whenever he drops his album, it's gotta be fire because he's just on point. But we pull up and he's outside and he takes us to the Electric Lady studio, which is Jimi Hendrix studio in New York. And in there, everybody's wearing suits and all this. I've never seen a Louis Vuitton necktie. All these people are just dressed up.
I've never seen one in person either.
And so I'm there and I'm wearing this old Navy V-neck.
Feeling like a baller.
just sitting there just going like, okay, I guess we're supposed to be playing people's music. And like Mos Def walks in and he's like, play some beats. We're like, play some beats. And he's wearing this gigantic bow tie. Some guy named Tata, which is I guess is like Jay-Z's right hand man. He's there listening to some our beats as well, and Kanye West and Swiss Beats are right next door, and they're working on Runaway. Actually, you hear them looping Runaway.
Wow.
The piano the whole time, and Pusha T's there, and all these people are there, and I'm just like, I'm
like,
about
I like
to,
all these
I'm
guys
about
that
to-
you're mentioning.
Yeah.
I'm about to blow up into like a billion star molecules
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I'm just like, I don't even know how to be here right now.
Yeah.
And I just remember like one lady was just like, hey, you're doing good. Like, we really like your beats. And
It made you feel like a little bit more
a
comfortable.
little more comfortable.
Mhm.
Like I'm supposed to be here. And Pusha
Yeah.
T actually told me, he goes, if you're here, he goes, this isn't
There's
this
a reason why you're
yeah,
there.
yeah, nobody can just walk up in
Nobody
here.
stumbled in here.
Yeah.
You know.
Made it more comfortable. That guy Tata introduced me to snickerdoodle cookies. I've never had one before. He's
Oh,
like,
They're pretty good.
Oh man, that might have been the best part of all of this.
and they made them fresh downstairs. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And later in life, I
Sounds
learned
like a
that
good experience.
Yeah.
later in life I learned that big studios make fresh cookies, like Paramount.
We need to start doing that.
Yeah. That's
you order hey, can we get some more cookies up here? And you're like, oh.
Philip, can you bring in some cookies?
yeah.
But yeah, that kind of turned me around to just like I didn't meet Kanye West, but just being in that
Yeah.
moment just turn me around. And
Well, I think like even like if you take the expectation of meeting Kanye out of it, then like everybody who you did meet was like a really cool experience. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't expect to meet Kanye, all the people you would have met, you would be like, yo, I met Mos Def. You know what I mean? So it's like the fact that you were able to pull out of that experience, like all these really cool people that like you ended up in the same room with, because it's like
Yeah.
nobody stumbles into that room. Like that was a very specific room. You were there for a reason.
and to be able to play the beats off my old little iPod, and
Mhm.
we were telling my manager like, hey, can we play like our newest tracks, because they're trying to play this list that was floating around the industry for a while. We're like, well, we've made so much music since then. Like I
Yeah.
made music this morning.
Yeah.
Like, can I show what I just did? And that was when I remember that guy Don C was like, wait, push pause. I need to bring somebody in here. And he brings in this guy, and I believe he was Pharrell's manager.
Wow.
He's like,
Whoa.
hey man, check these guys out. This is crazy. He was like, oh, I heard of them already. He goes, that's,
Whoa.
and so I was just like,
yeah, and then my
going-
head
Like,
exploded.
Pharrell heard of me?
Going back to
Pharrell's manager heard of
Portland
me?
was like so different. It didn't change my ego.
Yeah.
It just made me go to work. Like I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? It'd be cool if nobody knew I was here,
Mhm.
and I just like worked.
Yeah.
And because I got a taste of like what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That was a Friday night in the summertime, and they were all in the studio. They weren't like out. I'm pretty sure they go out. but
Yeah.
it was just like, it just taught me like work, man. Like nobody's gonna care if you look good, if you rap well. You could be the best rapper and rap until you have a rap attack. But but if you're not making good songs, nobody can take that in. That's what they're selling is good songs. And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
I want to be a songwriter and not a flashy like, hey, that guy's a producer. And, like,
Yeah.
high five.
You want the recognition because of the things that you've created, not because of the thing that you do.
yeah.
Definitely.
And so I just knew that I had so much work to do, and I did. I got a chance to meet Pharrell, and he was real kind to talk to me before his performance, minutes before he performed,
Wow.
and talking like backstage. And he's just like, I heard your music, and like, you got some dope stuff. He goes, you're recording your music too high. You need to turn the master down. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow, he's giving you advice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
And then
Yeah.
he's telling me like, he goes, and I noticed that you don't have any vocals on your music. Like you need to find artists and produce for them. You're a producer.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, because these are just beats, and that can be anything.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing movie
What's the
score?
context? What's the context?
Yeah.
It's-
And Chad, his partner Chad, was like, bro, you live in Portland. You need to take advantage of the jazz there.
yeah.
And I'm just like, you're right. Like so much notes. And all I had to do was just apply those. And, years later, I'm like, I'm still doing it, still working.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have a lot of artists that I work with, and local artists, and from all around the world, I guess you would say, from China
Sure.
to here and Japan. And so now I just have so much to show them if I ever see them again.
Yeah, exactly.
But even if I
Mhm.
don't, I know that they
you ended up in a room that like some people
Yeah.
will never see in their
Yeah,
lifetime.
and I feel like some people would take that experience and be like, "Wow, I made it. I'm done. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to do any more work.
Cool.
But
Made
I
it.
feel like, you know, for
It pushed
you,
you.
you're like, well, I got here and I want to keep doing what I'm doing. So you kept working, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear some of your music. Do you have a song for us?
Yeah. I actually have this song called Warp Speed that I just released in July.
Okay.
And it's my latest song, and it's just it has a nostalgia of the 80s, of this rock and kind of pop era.
Okay.
Influenced by my oldest sister, because
Okay.
you know she's 10 years older than me. So as
She's
a
an
young
80s
kid,
baby?
yeah, 80s baby. I'm born in 86, and she, you know, her being a teenager in the 80s, she's like, Prince, Kenny Loggins, Dino, all these people, and I'm just like, you know, a little bratty brother. I'm ripping her posters and telling her turn it down, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting all this music, and I like it, and I missed it, and so
You decided to create something similar?
yeah, yep, something similar. And living in New York, I thought of this idea when I was in New York in a subway, and when they fly right by you, and sometimes if you're faded, it's just like lights, you know.
Okay.
You're just like warp speed.
I have a funny story about that I'm not going to tell.
All right, cool. So let's check out that track real quick. And yeah, this is Warp Speed by Jonny Cool.
Don't have time to waste. I thought true love would be so hard to find. Let's go, accelerate to the limit. You'll be in my arms on time. Warp speed, fly through the night. Holding you, you hold me tight. Warp speed, fly through the night. Speed of love is the speed of light. Warp speed, fly through the night. Holding you, you hold me tight. Warp speed, fly through the night. The speed of love is the speed of light. Warp speed, warp speed, warp speed, warp speed, warp speed.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was super dope. That was Warp Speed by
Yeah.
Jonny Cool.
Well,
Woo.
thank you.
Yeah.
I really like the end. You said that it was kind of like when you've been in warp speed and you're just like cruising at that point.
Mhm.
You added that at the end. You were
Yeah,
telling us.
You finally get to where your destination. It's like you've rushed there, and now it's like, hey, here you know, you made it.
You're feeling
Yeah.
comfortable in that
Mhm.
warp speed.
Yeah,
Going
no,
with the
that's
flow.
super dope.
Yeah.
And something I really like about you too is you were playing some of your music earlier, and it was like more '70s influence. And I think that it's cool that you're able to really just get the essence of what that decade was and be able to recreate like that sound. Because I always appreciate music from the '70s, but you don't get new '70s music. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of have to rely on artists nowadays to create their best adaptation, or
Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel that because there's like I like the idea that there's that Silk Sonic group, they're doing these retro sounds. Um I'm waiting for a sound like that to actually have like this tape dusty texture that comes from that era of recording. It's like we have these polished new high definition
Yeah.
sounds. Like this is nice. It's kind of like I like Aretha Franklin, and I didn't listen to her albums in the '90s because it was like it was too crisp and new. I was like, this is nice, but I miss that old
Like the crackling, like
texture.
record.
Yeah.
And we're
the analog.
and we're no matter what, we're people of texture. It's like we like that.
Mhm.
It's in our food. It's in our clothing. It's in
In
our
our
things.
sound, yeah, I never thought
it's
about
in our
that.
sound. So,
Yeah.
so like when I'm trying to create something, it's just like getting that real nostalgia. It's like texture, and I was I can't say diagnosed, but I was born with a really strange case of synesthesia.
Mm.
What is
That
that?
actually synesthesia is like when you see sound and colors
Oh,
and
okay,
sound are
okay.
they're all kind of one for you.
Mhm.
And I actually ended up getting a scholarship to the Art Institute for
Yeah.
it because of the rareness of the case that I had.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I'm over here like telling whoever that lady was who got me into that school. She was like, "Wow," she goes, "I've never heard of this case like that." And so, to me, textures is so important, and you can't fool me. You can't say, "Oh yeah, this is like a little '80s vibe."
Yeah,
And
you
it's
can
just like,
literally see it. You're just like,
Yeah,
I can not only hear it, but I can see it.
Yeah, and I was stripped away with my smelling and sometimes my taste for
Really?
since I was a kid.
Really? Okay.
Off and on, I'd have like a few months of smelling and in tasting. So,
Mhm.
it kind of heightened my visual sense and my hearing, and
Yeah.
it made those two kind of communicate better.
Like a
So-
musical daredevil.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I'm just like, hearing and seeing, they have to make sense, and I have this like strange audio memory. Like if you say something, I try not to like sound like I'm mocking somebody, but
Yeah.
like if you try to say that you didn't say it, I'm like, no,
Like, I
here's
rem-
how you said it.
Yeah.
too. And they
It's
go,
not only that you said it, but how you said it.
Here's the tone that you
then they're
said.
gonna-
And the
then-
color.
But then it's gonna sound like I'm mocking you, and then it's because I'm like, I
Mhm.
can't do your voice perfectly. I'm not like
Yeah.
Ari Spears or somebody like that who's just like the 1,000 voices in your head. So it's just like, yeah, it becomes that with like sound.
You have like
and-
very snapshots, like snapshots of sounds, basically.
yeah.
When did you first notice that? You said when you were a kid?
Well, I guess I first noticed when maybe 2009, between 2008 and 9, when I really got into the production, because I really started just making music in 2006.
Okay.
So 2 years into it, I just took no breaks, and I think that kind of activated my the music and art in me, because I was drawing as a kid, and I would like freak out my dad because I do these like very detailed like observation sketches of the family, or
Yeah.
Mhm.
a tree outside, or a dinosaur that I like.
Mhm.
And he'd be like, "There's no way that this little 6-year-old boy would do something like this."
Yeah.
Like
Just printed this
Like,
off and
who-
lied to me.
Who came
Yeah,
in
he was-
here and drew
Yeah,
this?
he was like,
Good idea.
no, you guys went to the Lloyd Center and got this done. You know, I'm just like, there's nobody at the Lloyd Center who's doing this. Back when the Lloyd Center was fun, we had like,
Yeah.
but so
There's still ice skating there. There's still a little fun to be had there.
Yeah, it's a little fun, right?
A little bit.
Can't get custom pictures.
Not the side note, but remember when Lloyd used to actually be in the Lloyd Center? That dude Lloyd.
There was an actual Lloyd at Lloyd Center?
Yeah, he used to walk around. He used to be lucky to get on a commercial because he'd be walking around and be like, "What are you doing in the mall today?"
Oh,
And
wild.
like, Lloyd, I forgot the little theme song, but like, yeah, he used to be
Yeah,
there.
the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's wild. That's wild.
We
Oh
should do
yeah, it's
that.
like Lloyd
Yeah.
Center has it all, or something like that. It was like, whoa.
Beautiful, beautiful. You should rewrite their jingle. See if you can repitch it to them. Just be like,
Man.
yeah, I got you guys. I
Right,
got you guys
like-
on a dope beat.
And let me have the second half of the third floor that nobody's using. Just like, as
Yeah.
a studio space. Like,
Hey,
Yeah.
let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
off the
somebody
cuff.
else was talking about soft kill. They were thinking about opening like what is it, like Rip City Dead Kids in there,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
their
yeah.
clothes and fashion company, but they weren't. Lloyd Center wasn't for that. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of space in there.
Yeah.
They should let us do whatever we want. We should have a studio in there
at
too.
the end of it,
Let's
if,
go.
if the Lloyd Center doesn't become a mall no more, I would have this like reoccurring dream that maybe it wasn't the Lloyd Center, but it was a mall that was turned into like a super school, a sort of institution where like you're teaching adults, and there's also courses for the youth as well. But
Sure.
like,
Mhm.
but you're like, there's like yoga in there. There's like,
Oh, I thought you meant like
Photography.
super people with like extraordinary human
You were thinking
skills.
like X-Men.
like
Yeah,
excellent.
I was
Hey,
like, that
that's,
sounds
you went
cool.
straight to X-Men.
that's necessary too. We need,
we need one of those.
we need,
There probably is one of those.
we need
too.
courses to practice our
Underground
natural human
somewhere.
abilities like
Yeah.
telekinesis and telepathy and those
And
things.
the visual, the seeing music.
yeah,
Synesthesia.
yeah.
Synesthesia.
that too.
Synesthesia, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I asked when you first noticed it, but what I really meant was when you first realized that it was different than what other
Oh.
people could see.
So it wasn't until actually going to the art institute and knowing how to use it in as a director, because
Mhm.
the lady who got me into the school was like, you know what, like you could take, like, your scholarship is good for any course in here
Mhm.
for this amount of time. But she goes, I would suggest that you become a director because you have a hold on all the things like fashion,
Yeah.
sound, and the visual part of it.
Yeah.
And so from there, I'm like, she's probably right. Like using, like, I'm like, how I got dressed, or how I get dressed is through sound and remembering, like, this, like right now I'm listening, like the music I'm looping and I was showing is very 70s, and so I'm dressing like this often right now because I'm just like, I'm in the past right now. I'm in the 70s, and that's
Hey,
what,
Yeah.
we both got the 70s
Yeah,
thing going on
yeah.
today. Yeah, and you were telling me a little bit about your necklace, or do you call it a necklace or a pendant?
Jesus
but
piece.
it's smoky quartz
Smoky quartz. Yep.
that like 3 different people made. That's really
yeah,
cool.
people worked on it, and yeah, just, I don't know, like there's a certain tone of music that I'm like hungry for. Like I'm hungry for colors. Like sometimes I'm just like, man, I don't have anything seafoam green or coral, and it's making me,
So it's like very specific colors. It's not like just like basic colors. It's
Yeah.
not like red, blue, yellow.
Mhm.
It's like you see like seafoam green and like
and
that's wild.
sometimes I have to make that color, like
Yeah.
mix it in and paint on my clothes. Just have to paint on my clothes in order to feel like finally like I have that. It's just like whether I'm painting on shoes, like I had nothing rose gold,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just like, I don't know what's making me want rose gold right now, and so I painted some shoes rose gold just because I'm like, and I felt so much better. It just changed my whole vibration, and
Yeah.
and that sound that came about was like it was like different than anything I was making at the time. So to answer your question, when I was like, I noticed it when I started to get dressed with music more and wanting to find these colors and sounds that match what I'm making, and I'm like, that's the connection. Like it's bigger than that. And ended up working at Nike, and shout out to all the people at Nike. That was very helpful to me. And there's times where I felt like maybe I was being taken advantage of because of my gift with colors and
Yeah.
sound and the way I dressed, and people would we're gonna take your pictures, and I would see pictures of me on the walls and
Like,
stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
getting paid to model.
And I'm not getting
Yeah.
paid none of that. And
We're
Well,
doing you a favor.
you're on our inspiration board, and
Mhm.
it's just like that's cool, but I can't put that on my resume.
Yeah.
I can't
Can't eat with it.
I can't even buy a 4 Wendy's burger meal.
For real. For
So
real.
it's
So
like,
that should be the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I can't do nothing with that information. So
Yeah.
I just like, I need to keep my gifts and protect them. And while my mom was here on earth, she would tell me that she was just protect your gifts, and because people are gonna want them and they don't know how to use them.
Not everybody has gifts like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of seeing interesting things like colors and music and all that, you were telling me, so we have a segment called Off Topic, and you were telling us about how you saw a ghost yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a good off topic.
Hit us with them ghost
Tell us all
stories.
about
That's
it.
what I'm here for.
I like how your tone changed. You're like,
It's like-
yeah.
All right, let's
I
go.
was,
Love that.
So I took some time to go to the park yesterday, just to kind of I'm trying to finish this book, and I'm like, it was sunny. It was like a strange sunny day, so I went there and just kind of sat in the sun. And usually I know when the sun is just giving me the energy, I'm like, I'm connected right now. I'm like, this is cool. And this isn't my first rodeo of seeing a ghost. So I'm like, oh, I've seen them before. Sure. And sometimes it's not like it was a ghost of a woman walking around. It was just like
an orb.
It was it was definitely an orb, but it had a form, and it's like standing right on the corner of where I'm going to turn a Northwest 13th. It's just right here, and it's not moving, and it's this strange form of white and blue, and I'm like I see this, and you see right above the boiling water, you see the little energy waves, and when it's hot, and it's doing that sometimes. It's just whoa, and I'm like whoa, and I can feel my hairs on my neck and arms every time I even look at it, just kind of standing up, and I'm like whoa, I should either just keep it pushing, but I'm just kind of observe it
and try to
and
fight this ghost.
I don't think it's looking at me, but I think it knows I'm looking at it, because the third and the fourth dimension, we're not too far from each other. It's bad radio.
Definitely, there's things that we can't see or that most people can't see.
Yeah, it's we're in a bad radio frequent connection. It's the closer you get to that hot spot, then you'll be able to see it better. We're just not in the fourth, and so it's trying to listen to 107.5, but you're
That's
driving the way out to Tacoma.
Yeah.
It's breaking up, and so we see broken up pieces of this information,
Okay.
and we're like, oh, we're not, so that's why it could be more scarier than that. Sometimes
you can't see it.
You
clearly,
can't see it, and sometimes you can just hear them. Sometimes you're just that's weird.
Yeah.
But not until you let yourself go there all the way, and a lot of times you don't want to be in the fourth. That's a transition state.
So you don't know if you're going to come back.
Yeah, and
I've seen ghosts. I believe in ghosts. That's a little secret about me.
It's a little secret about you.
Zane doesn't believe in ghosts.
I don't. Yeah, I have to be the contrarian. No, I mean, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. I'm definitely have an understanding that I am just a small piece of this entire universe, and there's much more that I don't understand than there's things that I understand. So
yeah, I think some people are more connected to the other side and those vibrations, and I feel like I definitely am one of those people. But thank you for sharing that with us. That's a really cool story.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'll tell you guys about my ghost story on another episode.
On Chris's ghost podcast
on Based.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna have an episode.
I'm gonna tune in for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were talking a little bit about your move to New York. I thought that was a really interesting story, just because you were talking about basically the story of what most artists try to do, but you actually did. I feel like.
Yeah, it was so. What made me move to New York was I met Rakim here in Portland, and my band opened up for him, and we slammed it. We did, we killed it. I had an 8-piece jazz band, had horns and all that. And so after the show, Rakim's looking for me, and so he shows up into the green room, and everybody's just whoa.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, what's up? You did a good job, and I invited him to a little kickback afterwards, and I wasn't sure he was going to show up.
Sure.
Because by this time, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
And it's Rakim.
He shows up, and his whole crew, this guy named Pope, his right-hand man, and we had a real cipher. Pope was we're going to have a real cipher, no writtens, nothing like that, all up top. And I'm like, this is my after party shindig, so I'm only going to play Johnny Cool beats.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And like no request. Don't ask me to play
Your
nothing,
party.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have enough beats. I can play beats for 8 hours. So I have like a month's worth of music I can play straight. So
Yeah.
no breaks. And towards the end of the night or the morning, it was like we went until about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Whew.
And so I played one track and he took off his hat. He's like, whoa. And I saw him, and I guess one of his people didn't think I saw that. He's like, yo, he really likes that beat.
You got that hat. You got the hat move.
And so I played again later, like maybe like 30 minutes later, and he just starts to freestyle because he's like nobody ever gets me out of my seat to do this.
Yeah.
So afterwards, he's like, yo, if you ever have a way to get to New York, I want to work with you directly.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I can figure that out.
I can get there.
And it just so
Okay.
happens,
Make it happen.
it so happens the hype man in my band had an apartment in New York. Well, he was like, I'm not gonna throw his business out, but it was like one of them rent control joints that somebody else was renting out
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
while he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I at the time, like all my clothes and everything was in LA in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
because I was just like,
So you're moving to New York from Hollywood.
yeah, but
Okay.
but I've been in Portland for maybe over a couple of months because I just didn't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love everybody who was out there. I was working with the Warner Brothers people, but it just wasn't my thing.
Sure.
Mhm.
And so I hardly had clothes here, and I didn't really have any money either, and I
Mhm.
just surviving this like crazy accident, which like that's probably another story.
Mm-hmm.
So I just healing from this crazy accident, and I'm just like lucky I can even rap at the time.
Sure.
I only had like $200 or so, and going to New York, and I remember like I'm like sleeping on my friend's floor and just trying to figure out like when Rakim is going to be back in New York. And
Right.
turns out he wasn't going to be back until like this is October,
Mm-hmm.
moving in there, or maybe November. And he wasn't going to be there until like close to January.
Okay.
So I'm just like a
You're
2 week
like
trip.
$100 a month is what I have.
And a
Yeah, exactly.
2 week
It's gonna make
trip.
this
New York.
stretch.
Yeah, and a 2 week trip turns out to be like I ended up being there for that time until I actually saw him. And it was like holidays. Nobody's buying music. Nobody's buying beats. Nobody's doing any of that.
Yeah,
And
they're
so
all, yeah, that makes sense. That would be a garbage time to try and sell
Unless
a
you have
beat.
like some Jingle Bell beats or something.
Yeah.
yeah, and so it was like it was pretty tough, and fortunately, I was able to sell like a theme song, like a 30-second theme song, for like just enough money to put money down for a room, because one of the roommates moved out, and so I'm like, I need this room, and I didn't have a bed yet,
Yeah.
but it was just enough to just like I got a space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was like, but what made it happen was getting into the position where I could push play, because I didn't know anybody out there, and I hardly wanted to talk because I'm still like healing and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and I'm not like New York loud, like, hey, yo, what's up? This is me.
Yo,
man.
check out my
Check out my
mixtape.
beats. I got
Yo.
the best beats. I got the best everything. Come on,
Yeah.
I
So,
think that's good though sometimes to be, to be unique and different from everybody there.
Yeah.
That was probably something that
and
put you ahead of the game a little bit.
it was
maybe?
in having that experience and just having
Mhm.
so much music, and
Mhm.
also having like, oh, I'm here, with Rakim,
Mm-hmm.
well, to work with Rakim.
You already had a purpose before
Had a-
you got there.
Mhm, had a
Yeah.
purpose. And also like before Rakim, we just slammed the Diggable Planet show too, so I had all
Oh,
that
wow.
footage and stuff like that. And so I was just like, please put me in a position to push play anywhere I go, because all I need to do is play you at least, if I only could play you 3 beats, I'm gonna pick my best ones,
Yeah.
and it's gonna blow your mind. And so I did that, and I got into certain studios, and people were like buying beats here and there, so I was able to make some kind of money. And
Mhm.
really, like, I didn't do anything touristy up until I was about to move, like years later. But really, it was just like staying up all night painting, selling art to studios.
Yeah, but I mean,
just
like you were
figuring out-
living in New York off of an artist, like what an artist creates, which I
Yeah.
think is like what so many people would love
That's
to
the
be able
dream.
to do.
I was buying these Hanes pack of 6 little white undershirts,
Mhm.
and I would draw boobs all over them, and I would stand outside and sell them for $5.
I would buy one.
The
You
pack
have
of
one?
the
I
pack
wanna
of
buy
shirts,
one right now.
the whole pack cost $15, and so I was able to turn that $15 into
Yeah.
like $30, and then just kind of keep doing it, buy 6 more,
Yeah.
do it again, and just like.
But I mean, like, just like that type of like creativity and like ingenuity of like, okay, like I can create music, I can create items of clothing, I can create pictures, like just knowing all the things that you can do and using all of those things to get you ahead further to do the next thing. Like that takes a lot of a lot of focus.
And it really made me feel like I needed maximum faith, maximum confidence without being like pushy and over the top. Like I still didn't want to be like, I don't want to have to talk about my music and like, oh man, this is gonna make you feel like you're the best rapper.
Yeah.
It's like every situation I'm just blessed that I was able to just push play and show people like a matter of beats, and in time they're just like, and by the time Rakim's back in town, actually met up with him in DC, met up with his manager in DC first, and then like the second time I met him after like a BB King's show at BB King, and we're hanging out backstage, and it was just like my introduction. He introduced me to the Paid in Full crew, which is like this like legendary crew that kind of started a lot of like hustler talk and in New York, like all the Harlem Cats, and
Yeah.
Cool.
it was just like, whoa, I got so much insight, and talking to Rakim was really, enlightening. He's also like, we just talk about aliens and
That's cool.
Egypt, and I just remember hearing the story of like when he first met Jay-Z, which was really cool, and like I'm sure, I don't know if this story is even out online, because don't come after me, Jay-Z or DJ.
Jay-Z watches and listens to our show, so
very frequently.
be careful.
He's in the comment section.
or DJ Clark Kent. But like Rakim would have these shows every year, every winter, where he would like pretty much just like turn New York, around. And Jay-Z wanted to open up for him, and they like, they were planning on going to the show. They're like, oh, we just, we're gonna get there in about an hour or so. And they just see this guy at the end of the block wearing a hoodie, and he's just like looking at them, and they're like, yo, why is this guy looking at us, yo? And Rakim has, he has people, so they're just like, Raw, you want us to get him out the way? You want us to get him out of here?
Yeah.
And he's just like, man, why is he looking at us, And DJ Clark Kent, who's a producer, he did a lot of Bad Boy music production, comes up to Rakim and was like, hey, yo, down there, that's my boy Jay-Z. He wants to open up for you tonight. He's like, nah.
I just picture Jay-Z sitting there like this.
Standing in a hoodie like he's an ominous
He's like,
character.
and Rakim's like, nah, man, nah. And then pretty much Clark Kent pays him like $1,000. It's probably like a lot in the 90s, like
Sure,
early
there's a lot
90s.
now.
Yeah.
Right, not now. And so Jay-Z does. He opens up, and Jay-Z kills it, of course. And so
Sure.
that was that part. And I was just like, man, this is cool to hear little stories like that. And
Yeah.
I saw,
Oh, yeah.
Busta Rhymes backstage and all these people, and so I was just kind of like reminding me of like,
Yeah.
you're used to being in these situations, and so just keep your head high, because it may not be a lot of money right now. It may not be. You may have to catch the train and walk or ride the bike, and it may be rainy and cold, but this isn't. Like this is what you do. This is why you're doing it, and it's gonna work out. And it did. It got so much better, and
Definitely.
end up moving back to Portland, because just by choice. New York is cool, but I can do everything I'm doing for New York here.
Yeah.
In the comfort of being around trees.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
and,
Well, I like
and their weed was trash,
That's what I hear.
Hopefully they fix that by now. No, well, I think it's really cool that you said that you'd move back by choice, because I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to big cities like that, it's like they move back because they couldn't make it. They can't move back because the money wasn't. You know what I mean? Like there's any number of reasons to move back. So to move to a place where people intentionally move to create art, go there, create the art, and then move back on your own volition.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool.
And what I learned in like the music industry, like when like signed artists, like you don't want to be given a team. You don't want to be assigned a team. You want to make moves with the team you have. And so like I got pals here, like my buddy Trevor, who's an amazing engineer and drummer and just musician. You know, he has a smart mind. JW, who's a great guitarist. He's on Warp Speed as well. My homie Josh Manus, he does Bleach by Josh, but Money Rocket. Amazing, just all around artist, videographer, photographer, and just having these people here,
people that you trust,
that I trust, and they're just so talented, and they're my brothers, and so it's just like let's make moves with them. And like my business partner Megan, she's here. You know, I was just like, you know, I got to get back to the crew. You know, like I felt like Kirk and being, you know, in a whole other planet, and I'm just like, I need to be beamed back to the ship. You know, like this mission is almost complete here, and let me get back to the ship. And,
for real.
And so
having like a home base and like just a home team, because I think like teams are extremely important, especially in like what we do, because at a certain point you have to come to a realization that you cannot do everything by yourself. You can, but why would you want to?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you built a team and you're like, yo, like these are the people I want to work with. This is the people I have fun working with. These are the people I want to continue to work with. Like, you know, you knew that you weren't just like, okay, they got me to where I needed to go. Time to move on to these New York cats, and then I'll throw them behind when I move to Hollywood or whatever, you know, vice versa. But
having your day ones, I think, is so important.
Yeah, my day ones, and no matter what billboard plaques or anything stature that I'm at, I'm always need them because they know me. They're the ones who check in on me. They're the ones who are like, hey, you know, they got ideas, and what idea are you working on? Let's do it, you know. So I wouldn't be anywhere without them.
Hey, absolutely. Cheers to team.
Definitely. So we usually do a song at this time, but do you mind if we switch it up a little bit and do the song at the end?
Sure.
I wanted to hear a little bit more about, because like I used to get starstruck, especially when I first started meeting famous people. Now I'm a little bit more used to it. I'm just like, you know, I have more confidence and everything. For you, was it, you know, what kind of, were you super nervous at first? And like, what kind of got you over that? Or like, you know, because I feel like I would have imposter syndrome where you're just like, you know, I'm meant to be here. Like, you kind of told us a little bit about that. But.
Well, I don't have the best relationship with my dad. Like, we know each other, and like we're getting to know each other more and more as time goes by. But my dad has an amazing artist story too. He's like a legendary keyboard player. He was like, he toured with the Stylistics when he was 14. He was Miles Davis's roadie, played with Etta James. He was B.B. King's keyboardist for the last years of B.B. King's life, really, the last 3 or 4 years. And so much more to the list that he won't tell me out of like, hey, son, by the way, I did this. It's usually out of like example or like, hey man, like I'm working with an artist and she's really rude. Like what would you do? He goes, well, this is the time I worked with Etta James and she was really rude to everybody, you know, but it was your uncle who had to get us out of that situation. But he told me one time, he goes, you know, like, man, you're gonna, you know, the biggest artists in the world wouldn't be who they are because we're all creative, but they wouldn't be who they are without the check. He goes, it's the check, man. He goes, I can't be Star Trek. He's like, I can't use these names to make myself excited. He goes, I'll get excited because the bigger the name, the bigger the check. But if that's not what you're getting from the situation, man, move on. He was also in the SOS band and other places like that. And so it's just like him telling me that at a not, I can't say younger age, but like a younger stage of my music career, kind of made me think like, you know what, it's no matter who I meet, it's like it is so true, you know, because even meeting like Pharrell, you know, like that wasn't a paycheck, but he did help me in order to make my music sound better. Just from the advice. And that got me plenty of things for music. But to me, it's just like I can't help but to look at people and see the little kid face in them, and it's like I can see you as a kid, and I can.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I can see you, and it's like even if you're 70 years old, I can still see your little kid face, and And
that excitement for that thing that you fell in love with.
Yeah. And it's like, we're all here together, and you can't act better than me, because like, I don't know what you do, but to me, I'm galactically ranked on the other side of like music and art. I'm a not like I'm a spiritual guru, and I can't tell you how to live longer, but the stuff I have to do on the other side of like, they call it like dream state, like dream work. That's exciting. It's so much exciting. And so when I get here, I come back, I wake up to this earth. It's just like, we're all just here. You know, I don't, you know, you can be Beyonce in her prime. You can be Beyonce right now. And I'm going to be excited because I'm a big fan, but also it's not going to stop me from saying, hey, do you think you should be singing that in G or in A?
Yeah.
Because, or do you
would
think,
call her out?
Yeah. It's like, hey man, we all, if you can't hear a little bit of insight from me, then I don't think we should be working from each other. If that's the case, you know. So even with Rakim, I feel like, ooh man, I would love to work with him in a way to where I can like not change, but it's just like, how can I? What's the evolution part? Of that, like what are the beats? What are the?
Well, I think like seeing a lot of just interactions as potential for growth, I think is it's really important, because like you could see like maybe the Rakim or maybe the Pharrell situation, like, well, they didn't get a beat, but they did give you advice, you know. But like, or you could see the situations where, okay, they did get a beat, so you made some money, you know. Like each one of these has a potential gain, and if you are open to what that potential gain could be, then you're open to just infinite gains.
Yeah. And I don't know how it happens to me, but like when I was 11, I met Michael Jordan, right? That was like probably the first person I was starstruck when I met Michael Jordan, but I was 11. I didn't know what to say. He's just like,
I would know now.
I'm like, I just saw Space Jam.
Yeah.
that's probably a good
that's
thing
a good
to say.
time to see him.
Yeah. And then like I think it wasn't like random. I mean, it was random to me, but like I met Rihanna at the Nike employee store.
Cool.
But she walked up to me because she thought it was a store that was only for celebrities.
Oh, really?
She's like, hey, isn't it cool that we could just shop here and nobody messes with us? and I was like, who's this beautiful woman talking to me? And her song just came out, the DJ, Mr. DJ, you know, hey, Mr. DJ. So I was like, I think that's a celebrity. I think that's that singer. But she's talking to me like as if like, yeah, this is just a store. And I try to say, no.
They keep all the weirdos out.
I said, no, this is a store like for family and friends that are employees. But like the security's high. So yeah, you can shop here. And she's like, oh, okay. And by that time, her security guard was like,
what's going on over here?
What are you doing?
Don't approach the talent.
And
the talent approached me.
Another short instance is that being at the airport with my pals from Warner Brothers, and like Lil Jon walks up, and I'm thinking he's gonna walk up to the to our pal Tyus because he's the star. He's a signed artist.
Yeah.
He walks up to me and is like, "What's up?" and shakes my hand and walks away. And they're just like, "You know him?" I'm like, I don't know John, but that made me feel like it's just we're just folks, and we're looking for who we can relate to, and for even Rihanna to talk to me that time, she just felt comfortable, and she felt like I wasn't like looking for her and or anything like that. And so I think when people are just in their zone, and you have your frequency set to just like comfort, you can tell. I totally agree. You can tell.
Yeah, I actually working as a bartender, I've met countless famous people. I worked a Playboy party, and I met like Hugh Hefner and Adam Sandler and like a bunch of celebrities. Wow. So it took me a lot of times like talking with celebrities to actually realize that they're just regular ass people who don't have it figured out, who got lucky or who are talented. But I definitely agree with you that if you come at a celebrity like all nervous and like starstruck, they're not going to want to talk to you. They're going to be like, your anxiety is rubbing off on me. But if you like come to them and you're just like, hi, my name is so and so, they're more likely to just.
I like what you said about tuning your frequency to comfort, where it's just kind of like if you get you to where you're comfortable, people are going to feel that same energy and feel comfortable approaching you.
Yeah, and also if you not just fake it, but if you know that you belong in that situation, like you know, especially like you said, like going to New York and meeting all of those artists who wanted to work with you, like just believing that this is where you're meant to be and that you're like no different than them, really. I think that's,
because
helps you feel a lot more comfortable.
they're looking for you to do what you're supposed to do there. And like you imagine like all those unknown engineers who are like mixing the music of these celebrity artists and they're not like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm mixing Madonna's new album. Miss Madonna, you have to,
Yeah.
They're just like,
I'm
you know,
not
and
worthy.
they're just like, hey, can you back away from the mic? Maybe you're a little too hot, and you just do your thing. And if your role is just to chill out and be at the party or the event, you got to do that. You just got to play your role and be you to the fullest. Because like artists have that freedom to be who they want to be, and that's what makes them like artists, the biggest kids on earth, who are like, hey, you know, if you want to have purple and orange hair and wear these things, and your thing is like, I only talk when I want to, and I talk real quiet like this. You get to do that without it being like, no, you work at Fred Meyer, so you're gonna have to have customer service, and you have to say, thank you for shopping at Fred Meyer's. Nobody's telling you to do that anymore because you have that freedom now. So like when you express that you have that freedom, even not as an unknown person, it's like, oh, I'm thankful I'm around other people who just like free to be themselves.
You can be yourself around them too.
Yeah,
exactly.
to the fullest. And
that's what I really like about you is that you're just like, you come in unapologetically yourself, and I vibe with that.
Thank you.
We're coming up to the end of our show, our episode, and I still have a lot that I want to talk to you about. I just feel like you have so many cool stories. We didn't even get to most of our segments because we were just so into your stories.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah. But one segment that I really want to do is off the record. So if you can, you know, tell us something that maybe you're releasing for the first time, or like something that nobody knows about you.
Both are real
Awesome.
cool. I do have a song called Love to Touch. It's another 80s inspired song.
Okay.
Devo, Prince inspired. And that's what you can look forward to. That's soon.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
And
We'll be waiting.
that's quick. But I do know for a fact that nobody knows that I got into a really bad accident in 2016, and I would consider not here on Earth no more for just for a few days, you know.
Really?
And
A few days.
A few
Wow.
days.
yeah, Super Bowl
And,
Sunday
in a
night
coma?
to Tuesday night,
Wow.
coming back awake, and I found out I had asthma, and just being in the back of the ambulance, I couldn't breathe still, and I didn't have any air, and to the point where the guy had to like take some kind of tube, and
Yeah.
Put it into your lungs.
he's like, bro, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
He's like, this is gonna knock you out,
Mm.
but he missed the first time and hit my face,
Oof.
Ooh.
and so everything like broke, you know,
Yeah.
and then so that was hard because it felt like I got shot in the face.
Yeah.
For
Whoa.
sure.
And then the second one knocked me out, and then I woke up. It was just like, in every single tube you can imagine, and that was part of the, like, when I was like, I'm healing from all that stuff, and just like, I'm lucky I was able to rap, and so
Right.
it's just like
Yeah.
my Kanye thing was just like having a kind of a broken mouth and things like that, and still trying to do songs and wearing a bandana before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's kind. Well, it's not really funny, but I was actually thinking of that, like, you know, how what Kanye had his jaw wired shut. I was gonna say if it
Draw
was
the
something like that
comparison.
when you had mentioned that you had gotten into an accident, you couldn't sing, but so were you like allergic to something and had asthma from it, or?
Well, it turns
just
out
random?
I had like a deviated septum, plus I had like nasal polyps that caused like a lot of like buildup in into my lungs, and so I have breathing issues when my nose is clogged, and I didn't even know. I didn't even have an inhaler or anything like that, so it was just like it just happened so suddenly, you know, and like thank the stars, you know. I made a deal with the stars that hey, when I come back, I'm gonna just go hard,
Make some
go hard for
amazing
you.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just
we are glad you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm always thankful every day. It's part of my mantra. That's why I like no ego, no expectation. I gotta treat everybody like I'm meeting you on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just thankful y'all here talking to me. You know,
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
little old me from Portland.
No,
so.
no, no.
Well,
we're
we've had a
grateful
lot
to
of
have to shared the airwaves with you.
Yeah,
So thank you so
definitely.
much for joining us.
Really appreciate it. And we want to, can you close this out with one of your songs?
Yeah.
Is there one that you want to,
A very special Love to Touch. This song will be out soon. I haven't set a date yet, but it will be on a Friday because, Spotify and like Fridays.
But you're going to be playing it here for the first time?
I'll be playing it here for the first time. So y'all get to
look
hear
at
it first.
this. Hey.
Check it out first.
What you know?
and it's to me, it's a funny story. It's not a true story. I wrote this song in 2017 when I was not in a relationship or anything like that. It's just fun, it's just a fun story. So vibe and maybe it's relatable, maybe it's not, but it's my art.
It's a part of you, and we're grateful that you shared it with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Excited.
Jonny. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, since we're going to be playing out with music, we can.
Yep. Go
Say
ahead,
our
Sarah.
goodbyes.
It's been Off the Cuff with Des and Zane. I've been Zane Thomas.
I'm Carissa Dez, and this has been our very amazing guest, Jonny Cool, aka Jupiter Black. Maybe we'll hear the story of your alter ego another time when you come back on our show.
Love to have you back.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Let's check
Peace,
it out.
love, donuts.
Pew pew.
She been dancing the whole time. My eyes on her. The way she grind. She's so cool. She's so fine. The way she move. She blow my mind. She got some friends, some really hot ones. But I probably shouldn't because I got one. But she mad at me. I'm in the doghouse. But tonight's tonight. I'm going all out. I would love to touch you, but I don't wanna lose my girl. I know we going through stuff, but I just wanna know your world. I would love to touch you, but I don't wanna lose my girl. No, I know we going through stuff, but I just wanna know your world. I'm here again at the same spot, the same girl, thinking the same thoughts. I'm drinking heavy, another double shot. Now she's dancing on me. Things are getting hot. Now this could be a final fantasy. If my girl catches, it's a fatality. What is going on? I must be going crazy, so I'm going home. Cause I love my baby. I would love to